For at least a decade now, we've heard more and more about China. During the Trump administration, much of it was about the trade war. Then came the coronavirus, still a hot topic, and with the Wuhan story getting even hotter. In the meantime, ag producers in America are still hoping for a piece of the trade pie, though tensions between the countries are escalating. Still, there are those Americans who hope for a breakthrough. Colleen Bradford Krantz has more.
On this April morning, Linda Davis and her sister Gloria Jensen are taking their turn making the 5-hour drive from Hawkeye Breeders Services' home office in Adel, Iowa, to the company's Brooklyn, Wisconsin branch. The livestock genetics company's owners and employees have been making the trip there and back every week for 3.5 years, covering about 120,000 miles. The weekly trip is tied to the 52-year-old company's attempt to gain permission to export the bull semen they collect to China.
Our international market is huge. It probably represents 70% of our business currently. We ship to every country from Australia to Zimbabwe, with the exception of China. Our annual production is over 1 million units annually. The Chinese market would have the potential to almost double that.
But getting that stamp of approval through an inspection by a Chinese delegation has, so far, proven impossible. Hawkeye Breeders' year-long effort to get an inspection in 2014 ended up being wasted when Chinese officials canceled at the last minute due to concerns about blue tongue, an insect-carried virus that's not a threat to humans but can be problematic in sheep. The reason for the cancellation? The Iowa facility keeps bulls brought in from regions farther south, where blue tongue virus is more common.
It definitely sucked the wind out of our sails when they said that we were no longer eligible just because of our geographical location. Not one to give up, we switched our gears. We found out where we would need to actually be physically located at to get China approval. And again, that market is of such demand that it warranted actually building a satellite location.
After investing over $500,000 in the new Wisconsin facility, which opened in late 2016, the family-owned business waited for the next visit by an inspection team, which typically happened every 3 years.
3 years came and went, 4 years came and went. Still no inspection, no word of inspection. 2019, they said again that they were going to gear up for inspections, and from our understanding there was some political issues that kind of prevented that from happening, and then we get to 2020 and we all kind of know what happened in 2020. So
before the COVID-19 pandemic, the political issue Jensen refers to was the trade war that began between the two nations in early 2018. Then President Trump's administration was trying to resolve what they called unfair trade practices, including concerns about intellectual property theft by China. The Wisconsin facility, from which Hawkeye Breeders has since gained approval to export to other international markets, has become a profitable satellite regardless, with the company putting an emphasis on dairy genetics. Some experts say Chinese government officials have, in recent years, taken steps suggesting a greater willingness to work within parameters already in place in the global community.
There are still a lot of issues for China to work through, but if you look at it compared to 5 years ago, there are a lot more progress in this arena, and Chinese government has issued laws prohibiting forced technology transfer. There are also a lot of progress in terms of market access that for several sectors that China no longer requires joint ventures. China is not moving backwards. China is becoming more open to the global markets and more following global standards.
John, who has spent more than 5 years working at Iowa State and helps manage the university's farmland value survey, grew up in a rural village in a northern China province. As the grandson and nephew of wheat and corn farmers, he knew about getting his hands dirty through hard work. When he travels the state of Iowa, he finds that farmers have more interest in his experiences growing up in rural China.
I have seen the transformation in my grandpa's village, how their production have changed from wheat, corn, or double crops to about 20 years ago, they were all growing table grapes. But now if you go to my hometown area, everyone has vegetable production in greenhouses. So it's tremendous changes over the past 20, 30 years.
Zhang, who co-founded Iowa State's China Ag Center in 2017, believes China may be adapting to global business expectations, but still suspects tensions between the U.S. and China may worsen in the next decade. He says that as both nations search for common ground, they remain leery of being too reliant upon each other. Agricultural producers, he says, are often used as pawns in political battles that have nothing to do with them.
The agricultural trade is actually one of the mutually beneficial trade that both countries will welcome, because China doesn't have enough land resources to produce soybeans and other land-intensive proteins. But U.S. often is one of the major low-cost bulk commodity suppliers. At least at this point, that both sides are trying to preserve the relationship. However, the danger of the political tensions is that things could escalate.
Although Jensen finds it frustrating to turn away customers in China, he isn't giving up just yet.
We're very hopeful that something, in the not too distant future will materialize with that market, and we'll be able to take advantage of that as well.
Everyone will have their eyes on the relationship between the U.S. and China.